Welcome, everybody, to Dead Talk Live. And tonight it is our privilege to have Terry Notary, who is starring in Jordan Peele's upcoming movie Nope. And let's see, he's also been Kong in the Skull Island, King Kong himself, in the Planet of the Apes movies. And of course, more famously and more recently, you've played Cull Obsidian in the Avengers, Infinity War, and Endgame. Terry, welcome. How are you doing tonight?
Great, great. Thanks for having me.
Oh, it is
It's
our honor
great
to
to
have you
chat.
here, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So, we talked about Nope. Nope is being released at the end of next month, Friday, July
Yeah.
22nd. It's coming out in theaters. Uh, the synopsis, give us a broad, general idea of just what the synopsis of this movie is about.
Well, it's a Jordan Peele film, and so it's very top secret. There's not a lot I can reveal, but I can tell you it's going to be suspenseful and epic. I think it's the biggest film he's made,
Really?
you know, date. So it's as far as scope and story and his effects. Um, so when they called me, I was Jordan called and said, "Hey, I want you to play this part. Would you do it?" And I was like, "Yes." And let me read the script. What is it? So
That's
and then
awesome.
we just had a few jam sessions on scope on Zoom, and it was just we just hit it off from the very get go, and I just knew it was going to be a really cool character to play. So I can't tell you what it is,
No, no, we know that, yeah.
but it's pretty scary. I think the suspense. I got to see the footage when I did some ADR, and it was good.
What
It
was
was
it
really
like
good.
stepping into the horror genre? You have a lot of horror in your past work, and walking in, and it's not your first, but doing horror with Jordan Peele. What was that whole experience like?
It was like jamming with a good musician. It was like just awesome. I wanted to prepare, but I didn't want to prepare. I kind of wanted to stay really open with it and just kind of let the flow happen on the set, which I really kind of like to do. Is prepare enough to where I have a good sort of direction to just kind of propel myself, and then just find things and discover them along as we're performing as I'm performing. So it was kind of, I like to work that way. I like to improvise on the spot, and just let things come up, and then he finds things that he likes, and he goes, "Oh, do that more. Do that. That's the direction we want to go, or go back
Nice.
here. And so it's kind of like you give him a little banquet of opportunity, and then he can sort of pick and choose and sort of guide and mold my performance,
Would
which
you
is
say
a great way.
Jordan, behind the camera as a director, really gives his actors a lot of freedom to explore and see what they can do with their character?
Yeah, I think all the best directors that I've worked with do that. They really have this ability to know what they want, but to also know that there's probably options that are going to be better and that they haven't thought of. And
Yeah.
so it's really good to have great ideas as a director, but it's also good to have that eye and that ability to collaborate, with the ideas that kind of flow and happen, and
Mm-hmm.
and to recognize those opportunities, and to shape them to fit your story, and that's what he does. He does it masterfully. He's an actor himself, so
Yeah.
he knows how to to direct actors. He knows that you need space, you need freedom, but you also need direction.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, it's training a dog on a leash. It really is. You want to give it enough freedom to where it feels like it's its own self, its own performance. It's the ownership of itself, but at the same time you want to direct it and guide it into the story that you need to tell. um,
Absolutely.
and witness those opportunities as they arise, and sort of capitalize on the paint that you're painting with.
Exactly.
Sometimes the paint makes makes good mistakes, and you recognize that, and you're like, ooh, okay, this is better than I thought, and it happens for me too, it's like
Yep.
when I feel that freedom, I can kind of go to that place where I kind of transcend past that two-dimensional self, and trust that things will happen, and
Yeah.
don't try to plan them. Don't try to plan them, and I don't try to say, okay, well, I'm going to hit that, and then I'm going to go over there, and then I'm going to do this. I know I'm going to finish something. I know what my objective is, and it's how it happens is going to happen. And you
Exactly.
just got to trust that process, and that's the biggest challenge, I think, for actors and for performers, is to trust the trust that process of trusting,
Yeah.
trusting the that things will happen,
Things are
and
going to
not
work out.
not
Your gut
like, oh, I gotta
instinct.
make something happen. Yeah, so you don't do anything until the inspiration happens, and then,
Hmm.
whoa, okay, now I've got some real fuel here that is organic, and it's true, and I can follow that, and then that
Absolutely.
leads to the next thing, and that leads to the next thing, and then it just, then you're just on this ride.
Oh
You
yeah.
just become this vehicle of expression on this ride of you know of opportunities that happen, and little, so
Before we
it's
go
yeah.
deeper into detail about your other roles, you and Andy Serkis are like the top two, what I call like special character VFX type actors in Hollywood. First of all, are you and Andy friends?
We're like best friends. So he's like, we've done 10 films together. So we just have an amazing relationship. He's an incredible person. He's just the most generous, amazing, talented person I've ever met. And I mean, you can't get a better guy than him. He's really truly,
Yeah.
top,
S-
awesome dude. And our families, we have kids, and they like to get together, and it's cool. So I'm actually gonna call him after this call. Um, but we're talking about something that we're gonna work on. But
so,
yeah,
so what would you
he's amazing.
say with the types of roles that you guys do? These very complicated VFX roles. What I mean, you guys are so good at it, both of you. Uh, what is it? What does it take? I know you have a background in gymnastics and choreography. Tell us about that. How big does that play into your performance?
Yeah, I started as a gymnast, and then, I was really regimented in gymnastics, and gymnastics has got a bit of a military, structure to it. So you really learn technique and foundation, and you learn body awareness and all that. And then I joined Cirque du Soleil I joined Mystère, the original cast of that. So I did that for like 4 years, and that's when I really learned how to, like, express myself. I wasn't being judged in gymnastics. Like, being judged, you try not to make mistakes.
Yeah.
And in Cirque, I learned that I was just performing to show them what I could give them, rather than being not making mistakes. So it was a whole different switch in the mindset. It allowed me to learn what it meant to be a performer, and it also allowed me to learn that making mistakes was really a big, huge process in creating something organic and real, and amazing, because in the mistakes you find the gems, you find those those little gems. You're like, oh wow, I would never have done that unless I
Yeah.
had made that mistake, and now I can go and try to polish this and make, put that in the dialogue book, and here's, oh my god, this is something else that the character does, this is what, brought him to this point. And so you play like a child, and you allow yourself to make mistakes, and because mistakes aren't mistakes, so
Yeah.
they're kind of like, you go, oh, that's not it, okay, great, it's not, you don't judge yourself, and so you have this kind of childlike freedom in the play of discovering a character, which is really, really important in the very beginning. One of the most important things is to not come in with a you know too many ideas on what it is.
Yeah.
You kind of want to have a starting point where you go, okay, I think I know kind of what this character is, but I
Yeah.
don't want to put myself in a box and start to, limit anything that I discover, right?
Yeah.
And so you try to go to the nth, you go way past where it is, and you find what it isn't. And
Yep.
then you kind of go, oh, okay, I found all these gems along the way, and these
You
things
know
were
the
so
way the way you described it, with the entertainment and being scored, that's like the perfect definition between entertainment and and competitive sports. You know,
yeah, yeah.
being
And
judged
it's
and
funny because, yeah, that through line is very similar though. With sports, what you can bring and what I teach when I do a lot of workshops, I teach a lot of actors performance and character work as well. So when I'm not performing, I'm usually coaching, um, and one of the things about, I call it the optimal state of performance, is that mindset, that dropping
yeah,
in, that sort of allowing yourself to transcend past the identity of who you are, and that two dimensionality, right, of
yep,
me, and my story, and the awareness of yourself. And when actors can learn to drop in and transcend past so that everything else becomes more important than them, then then you can reel in the integrity, so you still have the integrity within yourself, but you're transcending past, and you're able to become this vehicle that the audience can vicariously live through and go, wow, look at how vulnerable they are. There's
exactly.
strength to it, right? So
That's
the vulnerability, we're taught the vulnerability is a weakness,
no,
and it really is a strength. Vulnerability is when you're made of energy. You're 99.999% energy, and the rest is empty space. I mean, when
yep,
you think of that concept, all you are is emitting. You're emitting and receiving energy, and we feel that. We
yeah.
feel that, and so when you feel an emotion, the cells in your body change. They like change, and there's that invisible magic that happens when you see a performance, and you're like, wow, they're not doing that much. They don't even have to do that much. They just transform the energy in their body, and we feel that as an audience, even
E-
through film.
Exactly. And as an audience, you don't feel it's a performance. You feel like you're right there in it with them, and
Because
that's
they're
the
living
beauty of
it.
it. Yeah,
It's true. They're living it. They're allowing that moment to unfold in time, and that moment will unfold, and it envelops another moment that wraps up another set of intentions and ideas and energy, and then you listen and you receive and listen and emit and remote. So it's life.
yeah,
It's like it's allowing yourself to live in the moment without trying,
exactly.
and so the effortlessness, the undoing of effort is a huge part of acting and performing, because when you get into the mindset of effort, well, that brings tension to the extrinsic body, and that limits the expressive freedom that you have in your energetic body to to transcend into that third dimension. And it sounds esoteric, but
No,
it's simple concept of
yeah,
energy management, and fear plays a big part in that, because when a lot of actors will come in, and I'll talk to them, and then we'll start working on something, and I can see that the fear will come in, and it's like, oh, you just lost me. You're dead now. You're two dimensional. What happened? You can see the fear coming. Oh, you saw
exactly.
that? Well, yeah, we all saw it. We all witnessed that. We understand it because we see it. We feel it in you, right? And so what I teach is, I teach, when you feel fear, to look at it differently. You look at it as fuel. Like, yeah, it's like you take it as a child, like you look and you go, you embrace it, and you take it and you kind of go, and you dissolve its power to manifest your fear into reality, where you, because if you feel fear, it's an idea of failure that you can try to fight, but then when you fight it, you actually give it power, so it builds like a wave, and that wave will eventually crash and break, and you go, yep, I knew it. I knew I was going to mess up. I was on this, little trip, and I felt it was going to happen, and I proved myself right. So you manifest your own destiny, right, in the
Yeah.
way you
Approach
deal with
fear.
energy, right? And
Yeah.
so, but when you can embrace fear and you take it and you go, turn that into energy. It's high octane fuel. It's your best friend.
Absolutely. Now, the technical term in entertainment about the roles, the big blockbuster roles that you've done, whether it's Planet of the Apes, King Kong, the Avengers, it's called motion capture, mocap,
Mm-hmm.
for short.
Yeah,
It's very
yeah.
physically intensive. Now, you describing what you were describing about energy and transcending fear and so on, what would you say has been the most physically challenging motion capture role that you have done to date?
Well, the apes films are very challenging physically. Because I mean, you're being super efficient. You have integrity. There's intent. It's the optimal self. Right?
Yeah,
It was when you play an ape. You have to undo all the social conditioning. You have to sort of decondition yourself into like being selfless, right? And that's what I mean. At least that's what I played with my character, Rocket.
Rocket.
Others were selfish and different, but that regardless, the foundation of an ape is dropping in and allowing yourself to really embody this root that you have, this like primal self, right? And you kind of undo the cerebral driven mindset that we're kind of been conditioned into with everything is there's so much stimulus, so
Yeah,
much input, and it's most of it's pointless and useless anyways, and but we just assimilate and try to file it away, and it becomes very distracted and point to point, and undoing that is a challenge, and it's a physical. I mean, we're quadrupeding and running around, and all the physical stuff is difficult. But the most challenging was making it easy as you
yeah.
did that, making it simple, undoing the effort,
Taking
undoing
out the
the
human aspect of it.
yeah, and it was the mindset that was behind it. Like you would go this way rather than you know make an idea, and the idea would have to formulate into the action. No, but the action happens with the idea as one, right? So it was like there's this fluidity and this kind of continuity between the mind and the body
Wow.
that is the best challenge. So it's like undoing that the instinctual nature that we have to jolt into this. I'm gonna go now, where you're two dimensional and you're full of tension, and you're you're acting on your mind and your judgment rather
Yeah.
than connection with it. And so that was challenging, and it was really fun to teach that to people, because once they got it, it was like, oh my god, I don't have to do anything. It's like, yeah, you undo all the crap that we learned, right?
Exactly.
I mean, when you're a
Exactly.
child, when you're a 5-year-old kid sitting at the beach, you got this beautiful posture, connecting, you're just looking. It's like, why is that child so beautiful? Because there's no tension. There's no, there's no sense of like me and my story,
Exactly.
my little, reason that I'm here, and when we hit like 10, 11 years old, people say, hey, stop daydreaming, because you're daydreaming looking at the clouds. And you go, oh, yeah, I got to get to work, gonna bring tension because I'm going to be rewarded for that. And so we're rewarded for effort. But what we have to do is we have to get back to undoing that mindset of I'm going to work hard and be rewarded for it with all this tension, rather than just make it easy. It's
Wow.
easy.
I gotta say, Terry, just watching you and your expression, it just seemed it's amazing. It just in this interview where you're not acting, you're not performing, it all just comes flowing through your facial expressions, and I'm sure the audience is picking up on it as well. So going from an ape to the Avengers. The now you're an alien. Okay, you're
Yeah.
Thanos' right hand man, Call Obsidian in the Marvel Cinema Universe, two of the biggest blockbusters of all time. How do you
Mhm.
approach now becoming a person not of planet Earth and a bad guy on
Yeah.
top of it as well?
Yeah, I mean, it's like anything else. You kind of try to find the character. You get into a play. You make mistakes, and you know what really came together for me with that character was it didn't speak until I said, you know what, he needs a voice. He needs to have intelligence. You need to have something where he can speak and
Hmm.
communicate and have dialogue happening inside there, you know? And so when he was like, and they were like, ooh, that's cool. Because I was like, I just woke up 3 in the morning one morning and I was like, you know, and it was like, this kind of feels like him, you know? So I'm going to start working on some dialogue and I'm going to pitch it to the guys, to the brothers, and they, lo and behold, they liked it. And so I just improvised my dialogue on the spot, and it worked, and it gave him, that was really the root that really kind of got, okay, cool. Now I've got intention that's not just I'm gonna bleep you, you know.
Yeah.
It was a sensitivity and behind him, and
You
just
gave him a personality. You gave him,
yeah,
yeah, a
yeah.
soul, for lack
But
of a better
you
term.
know, so many other, you know, every character is so different, and every actor is so different. When you're working on different characters with actors, it's like everybody has a blueprint, you know, that of their life, their experience, and everyone, you know, comes to the table with, you know, with their successes and their failures and their physical blocks and their emotional things, and you know, and you just kind of just go in and you can just kind of go, let's just start to undo
Yeah.
all these things that are getting in the way of being expressive. And then when they do that, they're like, you see them just kind of go, oh my god.
Such a simple idea, but yet,
Just like, and I look around like, I felt like I was in a dream before. Now I'm awake, you know. And it is kind of like waking up into being there and just being safe, not feeling like you know, judgment. Judgment.
Absolutely.
You don't judge. You don't judge, and you don't judge everything else. Everything is connected. It sounds really tree hugger-ish, but it's energy.
Yeah.
Everything is connected. And so when you realize that, you can start to transcend.
Absolutely. Before we go, we're almost out of time. I got to ask you, you portrayed Kong in Kong Skull Island. Now, here you are. You asked to play the role of a 60-foot gorilla that's been on the screen since the 1930s. I mean, the original King Kong came out in
Yeah.
33, I believe. So, first of all, my question is, to get the role to play King Kong and mimic him, and through motion capture, was there an audition process, or because this is such a specialty field, they came to you, they asked you? How did that go down?
Yeah, they came to me and asked me if I would do it, and I said, "Yeah,
Oh,
I'll
hell
do
yeah.
it. I love it." And then I was like, "Okay, what am I gonna do? How would we play this character?" And I read the script, and it was like, this isn't a giant, you know, bad guy. This is a little kid. This is a 14-year-old boy.
Yeah,
That's what it played. This is a 14-year-old boy with the weight of the world on his shoulders, lost his family, and now he's to protect his, you know,
yeah.
protect, and he's just been burdened. He never had a childhood, and so I kind of played it that way, and it gave him it gave him an innocence to where it was like he wasn't, you know, he you know, when he got angry on and fought, you know, the other aliens, it was obviously, you know, he became Kong, but the sensitivity was really what I wanted to portray behind it, behind the eyes, and get the real heart of the boy.
You nailed it, and you nailed it. Another thing I want people to know is that you're also a big time stunt coordinator. In all the movies that you portray, these motion capture characters in. As far as stunt coordination goes, when it comes to portraying Kong, Call Obsidian, Rocket, and Planet of the Apes, and then you're also the stunt coordinator on the set. Is there a conflict there with you being the stunt coordinator and portraying these characters? How does that
No,
get worked
no. I
out?
mean, a lot of times when I come onto a film, I say, I want to have, I want to work very closely with the stunt guys because I'm usually training them to play characters and to double characters and to, and you've got stuntmen that need to be actors, right? And
Yeah,
so it helps. It really helps to have that credit as a stunt coordinator to have their ear,
yeah,
so I can hire guys that I like and that work with and that are talented and that are um, willing to really put the work in to get the character dialed and not just come in and crank out a stunt
yeah,
and walk away. So um, it's that beautiful crossover of performance and specialty work that guys are the guys that can fall off a 20 feet thing onto a car. They need to be actors because when they land and they stop and they look, they need to know what they're
yeah.
looking at. They need to know. It's all about the moments in between. It's not about the action. It's about the intention that happens before the drawing of the bow. And when you draw a bow, the exciting part is right here. It's right there. It's not when you shoot the arrow. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, the arrow's shot. Now what happens? You
It's
know,
the anticipation.
that's it's that anticipation. Exactly. It's the anticipation it's the intention, and then it's landing without like my biggest pet peeve is posing and awareness when you're landing in a position that looks like a superhero. It's a 3-point landing. That's my biggest pet peeve. Um, I like I like when things are invisible and 2 seconds later people go, "Whoa, that was really cool." Why was that cool? I don't even know, man. That just looked awesome. I don't. They weren't. It was like their awareness of themselves was gone. They just did it and didn't make it a thing. So I
Exactly.
would say, don't make it a thing and don't throw it away. Always have integrity and have that grounded rootedness and be past yourself. Always make that more important than you. That's the key. That's the key. So
Wow.
yeah,
Terry, I got to say, the last 27 minutes have been absolutely fascinating. Thank you so much for
thank
coming
you.
on here and sharing these stories. Guys,
Yeah,
Terry's next movie is called Nope. It's being released to theaters across the country and the world on July 22nd. It's a Jordan Peele movie. It's going to be great. Can't wait to see it.
yeah.
Any final thoughts, Terry, you want to share before we go?
IMAX. I mean, Hoyt shot it. He's incredible. IMAX. Go see it in IMAX. It's
Mm-hmm.
gonna be epic. It's gonna be worth it. So
Oh, I can't wait.
I
I
can't
can't
wait
wait.
too.
I want to thank Terry Notary for being our guest tonight. Thank you to our audience who tuned in live and those of you who'll be watching this later on. On behalf of Terry and myself, stay safe, guys, and stay walking. Good night.
Cheers. Thank you.